Right, I thought what we might do is break it into, rather than just going for who wins this game and why, let's look at the teams individually. We'll start with the Storm, who are back there. They got done last year. They get into grand finals for fun. What is it, 11 out of 20 years? It's just a ridiculous stat.
Isn't it?
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
But,
what about some blokes will play their whole career not even being in one?
I know.
You know, like they can have 15, 16 years and not even...
The fans out there whose team hasn't, got there, and if you're a Melbourne supporter, you do get value for money. Absolutely.
I think Munster, is he up to his 6th grand final?
I think that's right.
And he's still got plenty of football left in him. So, again, just Melbourne, Craig Bellamy, the record and the stats that have come out this week, they're an incredible club year after year with the turnover of players. Every time we thought, they lose GI, they might struggle. They lose Cronk, they might struggle. They lose... Billy Slater, they might struggle.
Yeah.
Kieran Smith, they just keep turning up, and what an incredible club they've been for such a long time.
Look, it's when you look at the Melbourne, like this is going to be it's a tough one to pick. We all know that. Yeah. But when you look at the Melbourne Storm, how often we talk about more of their players within their side than we do other teams. We're always talking about Pappenhausen, always talking about Munster, Hughes, Grant, and now Katoa as well. And you can almost throw in Stefano Tucumano in there as well. So, and then you look at the Brisbane squad. We don't talk about as many players from their squad like we do Melbourne, and the more opportunities Melbourne have within their team to win a game through those sorts of game breakers. So, look, it's an outstanding effort for them to be there again. They're clinical. They know how to choke a side out, and we saw that against the Sharkies, I think it was, where it was a pretty close game, a lot closer than what I thought it was going to be. I thought the Sharkies defended really well, but just when they knew they were in that groove, the Storm players, and it wasn't the shift stopped. They knew that the play the ball were quicker. There was just one off the ruck. They just kept making meters, found their kicks, and choked the Cronulla Sharks out of it. And that's what I think the Broncos are going to have to worry about there. When the Storm get into that gear, when they get let to get into that gear, they're just too hard to stop from there. And they just have that much. They ooze confidence. And I think now that Munster's playing some really good footy and what he did the other week as well, he's just going to lead that side.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I look at this game and the matchup, and it's so hard to split the teams. You could see either team having success, winning for multiple ways, and if both teams play at their very best, they're going to have enough firepower to get the job done. But it's which team that can be at their best on the night is all that matters. And if I have to, pick. I'd give the edge just to Melbourne in terms of I think they've had an easier preparation. Not only did they have the extra 48 hours, I don't think the game against the Sharks was as intense as the Penrith and Broncos game on that Sunday afternoon. So I think when you look at their preparation and how fit the squads are, how much work they've been able to get in during this week, I'd probably give the edge to Melbourne.
What's their weaknesses though? The Storm. How do you crack them?
That's what I was.
Is it throw your game plan out the window, late offloads, a little bit erratic sort of?
Well, the
or
thing
do you
with
get
Melbourne,
into an arm wrestle?
Melbourne, they're so strong because they control the ruck. They never get flustered because they're able to control the ruck.
That's it,
and everything is off the back of that. Now, Brisbane can trouble that. They have Payne Haas
on the edge,
who can
in the
move,
middle?
and I think he moves a little bit wider, like they did the last time they met. Into Jerome Hughes, test him physically. He has the ability to punch out big minutes, and now with Willison back onto the bench, he can keep that big body in the middle of the whole game. I highly doubt there's a minute in the game where you see both Haas and Carrigan off the field. I think one will always be on the field, and with those guys in there, they can disrupt that Melbourne defensive control around the ruck, but it's a big job. Melbourne are very balanced, they're experienced, and they can hurt you in so many ways. I think the danger for the Broncos, if I'm giving one, off that freshness, they got to get the start right. Melbourne have this ability to come out, start fast, and in a game like that, if you don't get your start right, it's easy for it to be 12-0, 18-0 after 25 minutes. Now, I think if the Broncos are in that position, do they have the firepower and the discipline to chase Melbourne down? I'm not too sure. If the roles are reversed and say Broncos have a fast start and get out to 18-0, well, I can still see Melbourne sticking with their process. And
Broncos need to do that, though, don't they?
Broncos need to start the better, I'd say. But there's so much in this game, so many players who can snatch a victory and a result away from the opposition. I haven't been this excited for a grand final for a long time, to be honest.
Will the extra days help that Melbourne Storm had to prepare?
Oh yeah, I'm sure it will. I'm sure that they'd rather be the 9-day turnaround than the 7-day turnaround, especially the emotional toll. Like, that was an incredible finish, and what happened in Brisbane and everyone around them. It would have taken a couple of days to come down from the high.
Well, and the worry could be, was that their grand final last week?
You could have said that a week before that as well, couldn't you?
Well, they had the week off, and then just the emotion behind it. We know how much that game would have meant to the Broncos, vanquishing Penrith, ending their streak. I don't know. I think everyone's gone a little bit overboard saying that the dynasty's finished. I don't know necessarily if Penrith will say the dynasty's finished, but the streak is finished, and that would have meant so much to the Broncos overcoming that. Now,
but the way they overcame it, they weren't really in the game. They didn't seem to be in the game to me last week.
And they had fortunate tries. Like, I know they deserved to win, but there were some fortunate moments for them to get them back in that game. Like Casey McLean being caught offside was a big call.
The intercept,
the bounce of the ball just went their way when Nathan knocked it down.
When Willison scored, though, that's when I knew we're not seeing the Penrith of old, because there was just no Penrith. Yeah. There was Penrith players in the picture, but they weren't on the ball, and that was the difference for me. When Willison scored that try, I thought, oh, look out, Penrith have they've hit a bit of a wall here.
And that's where the 2-day extra preparation helps, right? Because while that was happening, while the Broncos were going through that physical and emotional battle, the Melbourne Storm are comfortable at home. They'd had their result done. They did it quite convincingly. And they're sitting back watching this. And not only are they watching it, the next day when the Broncos are at training, recovering, trying to start their process of preparation, Melbourne are getting a hard day's work in because they've had that recovery. They can get out on the field and throw the ball around, and that's the edge. Does it guarantee a victory? No, it doesn't, because every player is going to get up for the grand final. It doesn't take much motivation.
But how much training do you need to do, though, this time of year? Or is it just about the routine again later?
It's the routine again, and...
Because you're not going to get obviously not going to get fitter, but it's just about nailing those little bits. Trying to maybe something new.
Just putting the work in and starting that process all over again. And that's why I have to give them a little edge. It does, like I said, it doesn't guarantee anything. Yeah. Players are going to be up for a grand final. There's no doubt about that. But just in terms of ticking every box, giving yourself every opportunity to go out there, and as soon as that whistle blows, start well. That's where I see that Melbourne can do some damage early in this game. And like I said, I think it'll be a high-scoring match. I think Melbourne have the ability to find some points. Broncos, through their individual, they're gonna cause some issues at time. We've seen them cause issues for Melbourne Storm, but I just feel like if Melbourne jump out to a little bit in front, they'll be able to manage the game better. Harry Grant will start rolling the rock and taking a toll on Brisbane middles, and they can actually control the game quite comfortably.
I think the middles will be able to. I think the middles will deal with it. I think it'll be. For me, a weakness for the Storm it's Nick Meaney. Sorry, I won't say Nick Meaney. I'll say no. Sorry, let me retract. No, that's not right. I apologise for that. It's the edges. I think the edges are there with Reece Walsh. With his speed and his strength. Sorry, Nick. I didn't mean it. It's their edges. It's the Storm edges. I'll leave with that. I'm going to stop talking.
I'll try and save you a little bit. What about Craig?
Is that your playing the Barley being called now? I think it is.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I want to bring up Craig Bellamy because I think he becomes the most capped grand final coach of all time. 11 go past Wayne Bennett, who had the record at 10. His ability in big games to orchestrate a game plan to shut down the hottest man in the game. He's done it time and time again. In 2009, when Hainsey went into that grand final, they shut him down completely in 2009.
It was the kicking game in 2009.
Yeah.
The first one went up, right? And it went up. It wasn't a great kick, but it was put in a spot where the winger and Hainsey at fullback, they both looked at each other and went, "Who's going to catch this?" No one did. And I think GI came down with it.
Yeah, he was a pretty handy player, wasn't he? GI in grand finals.
But then there was another kick as well. It was it was the kicking game that got us.
But they did it again in 2012, 3 years later. Ben Barber goes in that grand final on fire, hottest man in the competition, Dally M medal winner, and Ben Barber's nullified completely. Like, he's done it time and time again. 2017, Michael Morgan goes into that grand final. We know the form that he was in. Yeah. And again, they shut him down. Like, that's, to me, Reece Walsh is in the same vein of form as the other guys. And if they can come up with a game plan to nullify him, Brisbane are done.
It comes back to that ruck control. If you control the ruck, you give your defence an opportunity to get back on side, get set, have a look up. Okay, we got Reece in front of us.
And steady. Yep.
call the players, get the numbers right, and then you handle them together as a unit. Where the Broncos have an advantage is sometimes you can't control Payne Haas. You can't control an offload from Carrigan. Willison coming off the bench, off the back fence with that big body, you can't control that. You just got to absorb the tackle and do your best on the ground. And that's when.
But that's what they're known for, isn't it?
It is what they're known for, yeah.
Because, we look back at Cameron Smith. He was the best at absorbing big guys defensively. For someone who had a terrible body, like he wasn't. We called himself the accountant.
Yes.
Like he had a body like an accountant, but he was strong enough to, and he was smart enough to just absorb. Didn't go in trying to whack blokes so he'd bump off and they'd get an offload. Just absorb, hold, wait for the help to come from the inside or the outside, and that was it. And I think that's what Melbourne have carried on for years and years and years. They're a smart defensive side, very smart, and they don't get rattled because they trust each other's processes.
And that forward battle,
he was right. Let's go into battle.
He
was fantastic last week against the Sharks. Did you see that one-on-one?
It's because I was looking through it. I was just going through it, and I'd circled Nick Meaney.
It was just a drive-by.
There was another one earlier in the year. Who'd you have a drive-by on? The same thing.
Oh, I don't know. I don't mean it. I just say things out loud sometimes. I don't mean them, of course. I was meaning the edges, and I'm trying to do matchups with who's on who. Look, I've circled Kobe Hetherington as well.
Oh,
you just did it again. I watched you do it.
And I put 3 ticks beside him because, honestly, when we start talking about the Broncos, I'm going to give that bloke a rap. And I also give Nick Meaney a rap as well for being a great player as well. Yes. So I don't bag players. I'm not one of those people. I don't bag players.
I think if we play, can we play it again? What he said earlier. I think the weakness is Nick Meaney.
No,
I think we can. We'll come back to it.
Yeah, we'll
come back to that. We'll leave that.
In terms of that forward battle,
burn it.
How much confidence will Stefano Utoikamanu get from last week? He dominated, and he's going to need to play with that kind of physical presence again, isn't he?
Oh, well, he's feeling it.
Yeah.
Like, he's definitely feeling it. Like, you don't come out and make the comments that he made unless he backs himself. I like it. We spoke about neither team being a Sydney team. Melbourne, they're down there. They go about their business. Probably not much fanfare because of them in Melbourne, AFL heartland. They fly under the radar a bit. And then you got the Brisbane. They're the biggest ticket in town. And they're rock stars up there. They get so much support. And you could see easily why a couple of players from Melbourne would look up and go, well, we don't like the way they go about their business because it's just so different to the way they operate. I like him being so upfront and honest. It's added extra spice. I don't think any front rowers like opposition front rowers. Anyway, that's just how they're built. But it's going to be a big battle. His form after Origin in the back end of this year has been undeniable. His collision, the way he's going in with his bumping, knocking over defenders, turning around, creating second phase of offloads. He's looking forward to this battle, and what a battle it is. Utoikamanu up against Payne Haas. That's where it starts. Whoever can get the ascendancy.
Who do you think wins that battle, though? Because I'm on Payne for that one.
It's hard to back against him.
The thing is, with both of them, it's not like they're going to meet in the middle much defensively. Like they're not bad defenders, but they're all offense. That's where it's at.
That's their attacks, their strength.
They want the bump. They want to create second phase. Like it's not as if we're going to see we have Hargraves out there or someone looking for each other with the collision. It's about who can get over the ad line and create the momentum for their team. And when I look at the Broncos, I think Payne's probably got maybe a little bit more backup in Carrigan and Willison.
And Hetherington.
Utoikamanu. Joshy King's a real solid player, but they like to attack on the edges more.
Yeah. We'll come back. We need to have a look at the Broncos more deeply.
So Nick Meaney. You hang in there, buddy.
We'll come back and Heine will defame some Broncos players for you on the Saturday Scrum. Nathan Hindmarsh, Wade Graham, Michael Chammas, Tony Squires with you on this Saturday afternoon. Looking forward to tomorrow evening, the Grand Final. We've had a look at the Melbourne Storm. Let's look in more detail at this Brisbane Broncos side. There are stories across the board there too, aren't they? Adam Reynolds came back last week. It was terrific. Ben Hunt. As we said, he really does want the redemption. He wants that grand final. It's been a long career, 300 and whatever games he's played, and this could be his moment.
Yeah, 100%. Just quickly go on Melbourne, when I look at them and their way to victory, it's a real team performance. And, of course, their star players will stand up and have moments. Munster, Hughes, Pappenhausen, Grant. They'll stand up and have their moments, but you see them controlling the game with the game plan from Craig Bellamy. and it's a real solid team performance. Broncos, of course, they need to play as a team, but the way for victory for them is their star players just taking control of the game and just winning it through sheer performance from the quality that they have. A Payne Haas owning the game through the middle third. Reece Walsh being at his brilliant best and just taking the victory away from the opposition. Tony Staggs having a moment. And one of the stories is Ben Hunt. It's been a long time between drinks for him. We all know how that went in 2015, and he's waited a long time for this opportunity again. And it could be off the back of him. His heroics in week one of the finals, the field goal to advance them to the prelim. He's the ultimate competitor.
Yeah, he's had big moments in Origins.
In Origin, he wants the occasion, and he has the footy now so that if there's an opportunity in front of him, he's going to call the ball and take it on. And it could be the biggest moment of redemption in his career to help lead this Broncos team to a victory. But that's where I see the Broncos so dangerous. They have multiple individuals in their team who, on their day, can almost single-handedly take away a victory from their opponents.
And one of them, as we speak, is on the interchange bench, and Ezra Mam, who have of course scored those tries in that grand final. They eventually lost to Nathan Cleary. There was talk that Michael Maguire may shift him from the bench. Maybe he'll start. We don't know where that's going to happen yet.
Yeah, I don't think it'll. Well, my understanding is it won't. But I don't know what you guys think, but it felt like when Ben Hunt went to hooker last week, the Broncos lost a little bit there.
I was going to actually say the
total
opposite.
I think there was I can't remember who it was in the commentary. The service was just a little bit slower. It felt like the tempo changed a bit.
There was points in that game where when Benny Hunt moved to 9, they didn't look lost because of he went to 9. They looked lost because all of a sudden his halves weren't talking. And he's looking around. There was moments here they were attacking the Panthers line, and he's looking around, going to the ruck to pick the ball up to service it. And he's looking around at both his halves, both his edges, and he's putting his hands in the air going, where am I throwing this ball? Who wants this ball? So that is a concern for me. Just that was early plays in the set. He's looking around going, where do I pass the ball? But I thought he had an outstanding. Benny Hunt had one of the best games I've seen him play in a long time. Not with razzle-dazzle and flashiness and all, but the way he encouraged his teammates to keep working, keep moving. There was times when he was yelling at his outside backs, get in, have a carry. He's looking around, he's yelling at his front rowers. That's what the Broncos will need when they come under the pump. He's had enough big game experience. He's a great leader, and just the way he encouraged his boys to keep working. We'll get through this. It's a tough time at the moment. Roll your sleeves up. We'll get through. We'll find a kick. We'll have a rest then. But just keep moving, keep tying in, keep working.
They have, and you said that you want them to, get off to important for them to get off to a good start. They have, their comebacks have been pretty amazing this year. A list of them there from, 49 minutes down, 28-12. They got the Sharks done 34-28 against the Doggies, 18-0 down. They won that one by 22-18. They've done it throughout, and then it was 14-0 down, obviously, last time, and they get that job done. So they do have that ability to come through.
100%. They'll always back themselves to be able to win a game because of the players in their team and the comebacks that they have had this year. But Melbourne, when they're in front, it's a little bit of a different... it's a different thing in front of you. They have Harry.
It's a different wall, isn't it?
Harry Grant, they can shut the game down. Harry knows as well as anyone how to control that middle third. Jerome and Munster will just pick their sides and kick. They have their big wingers to chase down there. That they can simplify their footy. And if you have scoreboard pressure in front of you with that Melbourne defensive system, they can force you into more pressures by taking a risk. But Broncos are dangerous because if they are behind and have to take risks, they have players who, if the shackles come off them a little bit and they have no option but to play football, well, that can bring the best out for them. It's such an intriguing game, and I don't know how to pick it. It's whoever's the best on the night and takes their opportunities.
Good insight there.
Who do you think?
Look, I actually wanted to ask you two a question. As both of you are former captains, I want to ask you, when you're flipping go to the coin toss before the game, on your Brisbane captain right now, on the back of Stefano's comments, wanting to run over him, calling him stuck up, are you winning the toss and kicking off and kicking it in?
I would have spoken to my front rowers first because they're the ones that they're the ones that want to cart it up. So I'll say, boys, you want to get the ball, or do you want to get stuck in them defensively first? And whatever they say, that's what I go with. Didn't come down to me because I stand on the front line. I stood on the front line and didn't do anything until fourth or fifth, if that. Sometimes I wouldn't even touch the ball in the first set. So I spoke to my front rowers first. Boys, you keen for a carry? They, more often than not, Fu would say, just give me the ball. And that was it. Would receive it. And then you would go from there.
I would always prefer to kick off if I had the option, despite the comments and everything. It's just like in a team sense and a game sense, if you back yourself to be disciplined that first set, it means that you're going to get the first opportunity in good field position because obviously start of the game, you're fresh, line speed's going to be great. You back yourself to make your tackles, keep them pinned in their own half. You're able to get three people in the backfield. Both your wingers can drop early. They're not going to run the ball on last play in the first set of the game. So
Ooh, they might.
They won't. They won't do it, mate.
They
and
might.
then you
God,
might say that.
God, I hope they do
They
it.
won't do it. But so if you back
Big Meanie
yourself
runs it.
to keep them in their own 40, it enables you to get your wingers and fullback into the backfield, get the ball in the full, bring it in the positive field position.
You
and
have
then-
to be very good defensively, don't you, Wade? Like you can't afford to let them push put a nose through them between two boys and find a quick play of the ball. Otherwise, that whole set
Well,
is
need to-
gone. You need to
you need to back
be
yourself
very
to
good.
get your job done in that first set, but that's the first set of
You
the
both
game.
dodged
So.
my question. Are you kicking the ball
Kicking
to
off.
Stefano or not?
I'm
Are you kicking it
kicking
to him?
off.
No,
Is he going to become a target because of what he said?
Well, if Stefano's in my team, I'm kicking off. That's what I'm kicking off no matter what's been said.
I think that will be if he is going to be a target during the game, that is going to be the only opportunity, either off one of the kickoffs. I think, either first half or second half. And if they kick off to him, that is the only time they'll be able to get stuck into him because it's the grand final. You can't be racing out of the line to get someone like that. You don't want to give away any sort of inside, sort of room for Pappenhausen to be sniffing around somewhere or an off. So you've got to be very careful coming out, whacking a bloke that's playing attack for the Melbourne Storm because they have too many options. They're too skillful. So off the kickoff is the only opportunity to get them. I think they might. Yeah. Even though he hasn't targeted anyone as an individual, he said those comments. Yeah, they could go after him.